In other news this week, the finding that allowed the National Institute of Standards and Technology to withhold data from its World Trade Center 7 collapse simulation has finally been released via whistleblowing site cryptome.org. The finding was made on July 9, 2009, and reads in part, quote, "The disclosure of the information in connection with NIST's investigation of the technical causes of the collapse of the World Trade Center towers and World Trade Center Building 7 on September 11, 2001 might jeopardize public safety. Therefore, NIST shall not release the information." End quote. Although the finding was made last year, the actual finding itself was not available to those who had requested the information, leading many to suspect that it would contain details of exactly how or why the data from NIST's WTC-7 collapse simulation would jeopardize public safety, but no such explanation is to be found. Analysts note the finding is especially odd given that NIST itself has claimed that the collapse of WTC-7 was an extraordinary event unprecedented in history, and that they arrived at that conclusion using the computer model whose input and result data they have now classified in the name of public safety.
What we found was that uncontrolled building fires, similar to those we have seen in other tall buildings, caused an extraordinary event. The collapse of World Trade Center 7 was primarily due to fires. This is the first time that we're aware of that a building over 15 stories tall has collapsed primarily due to fire. We reached this conclusion by reconstructing the entire building, beam by beam, column by column, connection by connection, into a computer model, a virtual WTC-7 building.
Many are wondering whether NIST's reluctance to release their data is due to the questionable nature of the science underlying a simulation that many have pointed out is little more than a visual recreation of the initiation of a building collapse, which in itself explains nothing and does not even show the entire progressive collapse of the 47-story building.
Here is our structural model showing the building collapsing, which matches quite well with a video of the event.
This Freedom of Information Act denial is just the latest in a series of such denials related to 9/11. In 2007, the FBI rejected a request to confirm the exact process by which the 4 aircraft used on 9/11 were identified. In 2008, U.S. Armed Forces Institute of Pathology rejected a FOI request for records establishing the recovery and identification process for forensic evidence from the Flight 77 and Flight 93 crashes. In 2009, the Secret Service rejected a Freedom of Information request for White House visitor logs on September 11th and 12th, 2001. Currently, the FBI is arguing before the U.S. District Court of Nevada that 9/11 records are exempt from public disclosure under the Freedom of Information Act.